Welcome back, fantasy managers, to the FPL Addicts Game Week 8 preview podcast show for the Fantasy Premier League 2021 and 2022 season, powered by Esports Live. A big thanks to our sponsor Bonus Bank this week as well, who have provided 3 picks for anytime assists for you to consider for Game Week 8, which could help you with your decision making for your FPL assets to join your team this week. At number 3, they've got Bruno Fernandez, and he's got a 26.67% for Manchester United against Leicester City. Second, we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold with a 40% probability against Watford, and topping the chart in first place is the king of all kings in FPL, Kevin De Bruyne of Man City, with a 45.45% chance. I've got no doubts a lot of people are going to be transferring him in this week. So, you've heard it there from Bonus Bank. Kevin De Bruyne, he's got a 45.45% chance of an assist this week. But not only do Bonus Bank provide our FPL members with probabilities on clean sheets and who to pick for their team, but on their platform, they provide a free to review bookie promotions and bonuses across the Premier League and major sports. It's not gambling and it's not a tipster service, and it's quickly becoming Australia and New Zealand's fastest growing side hustle, where you can take advantage of bookmaker promotions. Their platform is free to join, but if you do want to unlock special features and go premium, make sure you use code FPL Addicts and receive a 50% discount on your first month's membership until the 19th of October, and no lock-in contracts. And see the link in our caption down below for details. But we'll get right into it this week for FPL, and I'm joined by the very famous FPL Addicts Guru, who was on the same podcast as Italian legend Christian Vieri, Alessandro Diamanti, as well as Socceroo hero Archie Thompson. So Guru, how are you, mate?
Yeah, doing well, thanks, Elliot. And it was nice to be on the A to Z podcast yesterday with some football royalty, and can't wait for Game Week 8 as well. Absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, mate, it's mental. If anyone hasn't listened to it, Guru, where can they sort of find that, hear your little segment on their podcast?
Head over to the Instagram, FPL_addicts. It's all on there.
Absolutely. And, people have got to keep a close eye out for the YouTube. The coming days, we're back with it all, aren't we? The Scout 11 team selection all going to be on the YouTube this week, aren't they, mate?
Yeah, look out for it. Obviously, we've got the team selection on there now. It's got my transfer on there for those that are interested. So make sure you tune in. Scout 11's about to drop as well. And then we got our hot tips and Q&A on Friday.
Should be absolutely brilliant, but we'll get right into the FPL sort of things. And if you have forgotten from last week, the mini league standings for the paid league, we've got Donal, who remains top of the paid league on that whopping 509 points. In terms of the free league, we have an even bigger score, 520 points. We've got Billy, who remains top of that. For the women's mini league, one of the most competitive mini leagues out of all of them that we've got, Maya remains at the top. And then for probably the funnest mini league that I think we've got Donal, who remains top of the head-to-head mini as well. So he's doing really well. 18 points. We've got 2 people there on 18 points. Pizza Boy's there as well. So he is joint top, but Donal just beats him by what would be known as pretty much goal difference. But in terms of our little podcast mini league as well, I just want to go through it, lads, because it's a point in the season now where we're starting to see a couple of cracks. People are breaking away. The Guru's top of the league. Guru, you've got to be delighted with your season so far. 465 points. Are you happy with that so far?
Look, steady start. Not too bad. Had a couple of green arrows lately, so happy with that. But I would like to be a little bit higher. But looking good.
Cycling GK is back again, is he?
He's back again. You're not on my team, Ben. So unfortunately, I can't play you against Liverpool. But even if you were, unfortunately, I don't think I'd put you on.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you back, Ben. Yeah, you'll be on my bench as well. You'll be on my bench as well. I think even he, he has himself in his FPL team, doesn't he, Guru? Does he? I'm not too sure. I think you'd have to. I know Bamford does, but does the cycling GK?
I'm not too sure. I have to double check. I know. I think there was a rule in some Premier League clubs where you can't actually have your own players from your own team, and it might have been Ben that actually mentioned that on his podcast and his YouTube. But we'll have to double check and check his team out. But if he wants any tips, he knows where we are. Happy to help. I know his team's struggling this season as well, so
Yeah,
I'm happy
I was
to
going
help
to
him
say that.
anytime.
I was going to say that. If you got any questions, Ben, let us know in the comments. I do have one for you, Guru. I've got a question. He asks, will Trent play this week? We were talking about this off air. Is he playing this week, Guru?
Sorry, I had to bring up this comment on here.
Well, you heard it there, Guru. If you're putting it on, put him as captain, and he'll retweet it. If you've got to do that on your Instagram, maybe someone's brave enough to chuck the triple captain on him. Statman, your team's sort of in the state that it is at the minute, so you've got nothing to lose with that sort of one. So maybe a triple captain on the Cycling GK this week against Watford. But Guru, is Trent playing this week? Is he not playing this week? What's the deal with it?
I've heard he's playing. I've seen earlier he's part fit by Liverpool, and it looks like he's going to play against Watford. So obviously for those that held on to him, I think we said it last time in the hot tips to keep hold of Trent if you've got him. It's obviously going to pay, into fruition now because he's going to get the start against Watford. So it looks like he's going to play. So if you've got him, don't sell.
Absolutely not. And a lot of people on their wild card will be, looking to get him in now. But Reedy, the man sitting in second in our mini league with that little grin down the bottom of the screen, trying to conceal it, not too happy with it, second in the league, Reedy. You got to be delighted with that.
Can't complain too much, can I, El? Hitman himself, taking a few hits in Classic as I do. I'll be getting a bit of stick about his Rover banner there and Rover's banner. But yeah, I'm doing all right, aren't I? So not too far behind the Guru, the man himself. So carry on the way I'm going. You never know. Might be top by Christmas. We'll see. Don't hold me breath though.
Wouldn't that be a brilliant Christmas present? Ollie, you sit there in third. I won't ask you to take your Rovers flag down just yet, but, the Cycling GK has asked you to do it, but you're sitting in third, and we talked about it a lot last week, but, you're happy with where you're sitting in the league. You're sitting at 437 points at the minute so far, so you're happy with that?
Just on that one from the big man Ben Foster himself, that flag's not coming down, mate. But nice compromise. I've got you in my team, so maybe if I start you this week, then hopefully that's a fair compromise. Maybe slap the armband on. We'll have to see. That's if I can get into my actual account. I've been logged out, so I'm trying to get myself back in. Which is
it's the Euros all over again.
It's a shambles, but
any excuses, guy? Any?
Oh, here we go.
For anyone listening,
get him in early.
Yeah, it's when he starts going like on a decline, what he does is he pulls out this excuse that he's been locked out of his account and all this blah blah blah. It's all just mind games. He'll have his team back for game week 8 and he'll be ready to do it. So Ollie, even
with
are you?
Even with the logged out team, I've still got a better one than yours, Jack. So be careful, mate. Be careful. And I know that's gonna get clipped, and Jack's gonna have a much better score than I am, and he's gonna go on top of me next week. And he'll say, "Oh, look at me! I'm slightly better than you now." It's like, mate,
in that voice as well. I'll do it in that voice just for you.
He will. Just watch it. But yeah. So the podcast, right here. Or you can find it on Spotify, FPL Addicts. Get it searched up. Get on the socials, and you won't be missing out. So you can help your FPL teams. For anyone else out there, Ben, there's loads of places to go. Get yourself subscribed to the channel. Get yourself following on Twitter, and you're not going to be missing out, and you don't want to be either. So there you go. Because I know that
just on that note as well for Ben Foster, I'll be captaining Salah this weekend, mate. So don't turn it up. He's going to go for a hat trick. So
we're trying to keep him. We're trying to keep him.
I don't know what he thinks about that, or you can listen to it later. But Ben, you can jump on the YouTube as well, mate, and I'll watch us on there, and I'll give you a bit more banter. But I love you, really, man. Ex-man, you.
Yeah. The Guru's the man. Basically, the Guru's the man. Get him followed because he's the man for FPL. The veteran, the Guru himself. Get him followed because he really is one of the best in the business.
He absolutely is. FPL_addicts on Instagram. And once you're there, the link tree in his bio, as he always says, it's got every single link that you're ever going to need to any of our pages there. So, that's where you got to find it, Ben. But we do have a question which is directed at me, Guru. It's a little bit of the Twitter banter that we were having with Daniel today. He says, any talk about Gavin Harris now that he's here? Maximum points shouldn't be a problem. Absolutely brilliant, Daniel. And as it said there, Christmas really does start in January for Newcastle, but Cycling GK said he'd be starting this week, lads, so it doesn't bother me how much we concede. you've asked us to captain you, so maybe you're trying to mislead us and send us on a dark path. But we'll just have to see what happens then. I'm sure if anyone does end up
Ben
captaining
Foster
you,
starts now and has an absolute worldie, saves a pen, the lot. He'll be chuckling to himself, won't he? We'll be like that next week. God, we should have listened to him.
We've had Mourinho mind games, we've had Ollie mind games. I didn't quite think we'd be having Ben Foster mind games on the podcast anytime this season, but we've got them here. But whatever happens, you will be on my bench this week, Ben. You've been on my team since the opening day, so keep up everything that you're doing, and I hope to see you back around here sometime soon. But Jack, you sit there in the mini league, sitting in fourth, sort of 8 points off the pace behind Ollie, and you've got the wild card in your arsenal, and I'm told this week is the week for your wild card.
Ready to unleash the beast, mate. I've been sitting on this wild card for the last 3 weeks. I bottled it for game week 7. Thought I'd sit and wait for this international break. Kind of good in a way with a few of the clouds over a few major players, but I think the wild card's ready to go. Buzzing for this, and Ollie Walker-Peel, look out, 'cause that short, small lead won't be around for long, will it?
I forgot you played your wild card. I've really
instant regret of talking yourself.
But no, I'm still.
You can log back into your account this week, mate. So
I'm backing myself in, mate. We'll see next week. We'll see on the podcast this time next week who's had the better week. It's probably going to be you, isn't it? But I'll have the confidence. Let's see.
Yeah, we've got another question for you. I'll let you answer it, Guru, because I know you love your human Son and you've had Jota in your team. He says he has Traore and Jota. Should he transfer them both out for Son for a -4 hit?
Look, I guess it depends as well. Who else is he bringing in? Because, if you're taking out Traore and Jota, you're obviously going to be bringing someone else in with Son. But look, I'd probably say Son at the moment, just owning him is probably better than owning both Traore and Jota together anyway. So I'd probably say yes, but I would like to know who the other player is before kind of giving him that bit of advice. So, but yeah, it does sound good. I think Son's a good asset to have at the moment, and it's a good fixture for him this week. So, really liking the Son shout.
Yeah, we'll touch on our transfers in a little bit, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion from Jack. And if he's keeping Son, if he's moving on from him with his wild card, so we'll get his thoughts on that one as well. But Statman Dave, you do sit bottom of the mini league, a fair bit off the pace of even me, who sits there in 5th. It hasn't been the best start to your season, but once you hit rock bottom, the only way is up, mate. So is that what you're hoping for? Starting with this week?
Look. That's it. It's a bit of a FPL second year blues, I think. I ended up finishing just inside the top third in my first year of the mini league last year. So obviously I need to start turning that around if I'm going to do something similar again. But the Statman curse is biting hard. All the players that I've bought in the last few weeks have just all of a sudden lost form, which has been a bit frustrating. And my captain choices haven't been coming off. I picked Antonio last week instead of Salah, which cost me about 24 points or something. So would have been actually a pretty good score last week had I have done that, which was a bit frustrating. But it is what it is, and hopefully something will change soon.
Dave, are you? Sorry, Al. I was just going to ask Statman Dave. Is he going for a cup run this year?
Bin the league off.
Who knows? I'm just focusing on draft, and I can't even say head to head because I haven't even won a game in that either. So
all about Champions League for you, mate. Keep at it.
That's it. It's all about UCL.
Absolutely. You're doing really well in there. We've got another question. Well, not another question, Guru, but I do want to ask you a question about it. He says, making podcast moves must have been a great experience talking to Archie. Just how good was it, Guru, being on the same podcast as those sorts of names?
Oh, it was unbelievable. And I really enjoyed the experience. The only downside was Archie Thompson did tell me he was an Arsenal fan. So it did take a bit of the shine off it. I didn't expect that one, but then he did say, he wasn't a diehard. But it was great stuff. Obviously, he was a great footballer, and he's an Australian legend as well for the Socceroos. So really enjoyed it.
He certainly is, and I do have one more question before we move on to the fixtures, transfers and captains for game week 8 for us. We've got one from FPL Planner. He says, good evening lads, who is more likely to not start if benched, Torres or Foden? And Guru, this is actually quite a nice segue into the transfers, which we will touch on, but who's most likely to not start if benched, Torres or Foden?
I'll go with Torres.
Any particular reason behind the Torres, or do you just sort of have a lot of faith in you and Pep on the same wavelength here or something? Do you know something we don't?
I just think Foden. You can never guess Pep, right? You can never guess Pep roulette. He's frauded us for years now, but I think between the two, it's Torres that's going to be on the bench. I'm pretty confident in Foden, but never say never with Pep. But if I had to pick between those two, I think it's Torres on the bench.
That's fair enough. You heard it there from the Guru first, and Foden is in absolutely brilliant form. Last time out against Liverpool, Reedy will know more than anyone. He was so good, wasn't he, Reedy, against your Liverpool?
Oh, he was brilliant, wasn't he? He was just that sort of player that lights up the Premier League, young, hungry. He's got bags of talent as well, as we know. So yeah, he was unplayable almost, and him and Salah both really brought everything they could to that game, and yeah, what a game it was.
It was an absolutely brilliant fixture. I think probably the best game that we've seen this season so far. It's always a thriller these days, Liverpool, Man City, especially at Anfield. So absolutely brilliant game. But we'll move on to the game week 8 preview sort of section of the podcast now. We'll start with the fixtures. Statman Dave, I'm going to fly over to you first. Is there a fixture that's making you think a little bit, that you're excited for on an FPL sort of term?
Yeah, I think for me this week, it's probably Chelsea-Brentford. A little bit out of the box, I think. Wouldn't have been predicting to have said this a few weeks ago, but Chelsea's got obviously a lot of players under injury cloud and a few international duty availability issues. So Rudiger didn't train with Germany. Lukaku's withdrawing with soreness from the 3rd, 4th playoff, although it was a meaningless game, so who knows how serious that one is, I suppose. Kante is not quite fit yet after having COVID. Reece James, the ankle industry, Pulisic still missing, and obviously Thiago Silva playing. He's played 120 minutes so far, and he's still got a game to go for Brazil, so he's probably unlikely to play. So it's a weakened Chelsea side, I suppose, and Brentford have been looking really strong. They're 6th or 7th on the table, I think, at the moment, and had draws against Liverpool, and they've beaten West Ham and Wolves in the last few weeks as well. So the only game they've actually lost is against Brighton, who are just as impressive. So that could turn out to be a bit of a cracking game, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you're spot on there, Statman, with that analysis. It should be a really good fixture and, a lot of decent FPL assets in there. A lot of clouds, the Lukakus, the Rudigers, no one's too sure if they're going to play, but Werner was lighting it up during, his internationals for Germany. So it's going to be an interesting one. Ollie, I'll fly over to you. Is there any fixture, that sort of you're playing on your mind a little bit that you're thinking about?
Yeah, Watford, Liverpool, just off the off the Salah shout. He's always great at Vicarage Road. We've obviously got the watch along. I don't know if you're there for that one, El, mate. But I'm looking forward to it. Watch alongs are always class. We might have to get the CEO of Razzler if you're not there, El. We might have to get D10 back involved because he's always class to have there on the old banter and all that. But back to the football. Watford don't look too great, do they? If we're being honest, they've got Ismail Assar. And Dennis and a lot of those, a lot of their attacks are going through those two. I mean, to be fair, last time Watford hosted Liverpool in a Premier League game, it was 3-0, and obviously that long unbeaten run that Liverpool had at the time was broken then. I don't see the same happening. I think Mohamed Salah will have a day out. I think it's going to be a big game for all the Liverpool assets. It looks like Trent's back. We've seen from all the Twitter accounts that he's now fit. So a lot's riding on that game for most FPL managers, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Ollie, I'll let you answer this one from Max Motto. He says, what's your thoughts on selling Ronaldo?
Mate, Max, I know you're a fan. This is why. I don't know why you ask these questions, pal. And to be fair, it's probably a fair question, but Ronaldo, they're going to turn up and even with a tough run, 6. Even if United are not playing the kind of player that if he starts, he could easily do something. I don't recommend buy him if you haven't. I don't think you sell him if you have him. But as a United fan, I can't believe the thoughts in his mind of he's your god, hasn't he? Isn't he? All United fans don't shut up about him. So there you go. I wouldn't sell him, but I wouldn't buy him if you don't have him.
I think that's a fairly good answer from you there, Ollie. If you've got him, there's no need to sell, but you can understand a little bit. People are very impatient this year with FPL. They're very reactive. If a player has a bad game, they're wanting to get him out as soon as possible. But we'll go to you, Jack, for a third and a final fixture for this game week. I know you know all the fixtures. They're imprinted in your head. If you're playing your wild card, you know them like the back of your hand, mate. So which one is exciting you the most?
Oh, too many to pick. Obviously, I always want to review United, of course, but the more exciting kind of fixtures out there. I'm actually looking forward to Arsenal against Palace. I just think Arsenal are in form. They've obviously gone well the last couple of games back to back. Some good assets, nice home fixture. Crystal Palace have done all right, and they've obviously been scoring a few goals. But yeah, the Arsenal fixture, if you've got some assets in there, like the likes of Tierney, Ramsdale, White, been picking up some nice points, nice clean sheet last week in game week 7. I think White picked up the bonus in there with 7 points. He's so cheap as well. So a couple of nice assets and, a couple of random ones in there, Aubameyang maybe for some assets as a cheeky asset there and a bit of a differential. I think he's under 10 mil now as well. So perhaps a good asset and good fixture to look at for some owners.
And is he one that, for your wild card, Jack, we'll move on into the transfers now. Is Aubameyang one that you look at everyone when you're playing your wild card, obviously, but, have you had a decent look at Aubameyang at the minute?
Listen, he was actually on a bit of a short list for me, but he's, with my bias in there, I'm probably not going to pick him with the likes of Lukaku, who's obviously up there. And I do fancy Jesus. Hopefully, obviously, the Guru might be able to shed a bit more light on this shortly about the Brazilians and all, but obviously I know he might have a bit of a cloud over him ready for the weekend, with this late fixture for Brazil. But Jesus, Lukaku, Hwang up top for me. But I'll go back to the start. I've got my team up on the side here. So Wildcard's looking Ramsdale in goal. I picked him over Sanchez. I think Arsenal obviously just picked them up then with the back line, the clean sheets. Really liking the look of Ramsdale in there. Sanchez has done me proud, but I think just time for a bit of a change in there. No Dan, Chris Wood, he's probably not going to make it into this one. I did say if he was going to bag a hat-trick in game week 7, he was going to make my wildcard team. He didn't deliver. He apologised, and I sent him on his merry way back to the lovely Burnley. And then at the back, I've looked at a squad. I've been building a squad, obviously, with my wild card teams who are going to be hitting all these green tiles and the green mosaic, as D10 likes to call them. For the next 5 to 10 game weeks, there's a big turning, twisting fixtures. With likes of Chelsea, obviously now, City will come into their own. Liverpool have a good run. United obviously have one, but no United assets in this one came in. But at the back, gone Rudiger, Cancelo, White, Livramento, and Manquillo to start with. But with Trent, I'm trying to get him in, so I'm looking. I've got him for Manquillo in there, and obviously going to sacrifice perhaps a midfielder. But in the midfield, I've kept with Son. Son obviously delivered for me in game week 7. He's got me 20 points with the captain's armband on him. Got his 2 assists. He's the main man for me at Spurs. Harry Kane is obviously where he is. But yeah, Son's the main man. He's going to be scoring the goals, getting the assists. Salah, obviously, in there, second name on the team sheet behind Son. And then I've gone midfield. Rafinha is in there at the moment, but I don't think, if he's got this, if he's not coming back on Friday, he's gone. I'm going to take him out. And I've got as my third midfielder, and Buemo will come in. Brentford's fixtures look very tasty. Difficult fixture against Chelsea, as we know, as Dave alluded to. But obviously, I think he can definitely look to deliver in there with those runner games. Lots of green fixtures. And then as up top, as I said, Jesus, Lukaku, Hwang. But it's difficult with these Brazilians. It's kind of thrown a spanner in the works for me. So I'm going to leave everything to the last minute on these press conferences. I've learned my lesson over the last 12 months. Jimenez isn't making it. Read him. No, he is not. I know you just put that in the chat. I think he looked good, and I don't know if is he back? Is he back, Jimenez? I'm not too sure, but if I need to swap someone in, I'll be looking. I might have to sacrifice Jesus to bring Trent in if I try and keep Rafinha. couple of decisions to make. Headache time, lads. I don't know anyone else who's playing the wild card at this moment, but a lot to take in.
Yeah, but there's always the reliable Brazilian mate. You got Joe Linton there. He's not travelled with the Brazilian team. Shocking how he's not getting a call up at the minute, but he's ready for his annual goal against Spurs. It's going to happen this weekend. He always turns up against Spurs. It's his bogey team. So if you are looking for that enabler sort of striker, he's always there for you. But Guru, I just want to get your thoughts on Jack's wildcard team there, because we all like to have a joke and a bit of fun, but that is a scary, scary squad. That even Jack, even that he's just articulated in his head now, that's a scary, scary squad in my opinion. So what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a good team. He's done well. I think he's got the template spot on with Salah in there, Lukaku as well. So I think, he's looking good. Surprised not to see his man Ronaldo in. He forced pretty much the whole community to get Ronaldo in from the start and hasn't with him himself. But I will say he's actually picked a really good team. Obviously, he's got a couple of injury clouds, a couple of players he's not sure on, but he's doing the right thing. He's waiting until press conferences. I think he's got a really good team, really strong defence. So exciting stuff.
I was going to ask, this could be to anyone to jump in or whichever, but I've gone. I'm looking at obviously bringing Trent in, Rudiger, Cancelo at the back. Do you think it's overload? What do you think about going obviously heavy on the back line with that?
Ollie, do you want to answer that one, mate? I know you had your back five you started with last season, so you do love a defender. Is Jack going too heavy with his defence or not?
No, I don't think so. And apologies for any Wi-Fi issues before that. Should hopefully now be fixed. My connection was worse than Statman Dave's team, so I know it's hard to do. So I do apologise. But back to your question, I think that is the way to go this year. If you're not going heavy up top, you go heavy at the back. I have gone light. I've gone with Livermentos, your Duffys, Brandon Williams at times, which is why my team's gone so poorly. But if you're gonna go high in defence, this is the time to do it. You got your Cancelos, your Diaz's, your Rudigers.
Diaz.
Yeah, the fake Diaz, of course, the fake Diaz. But there's many players you can go with, and I don't mind it. The issue is if you do go, example, 2 Chelsea, 2 City, then 2 goals can ruin your weekend. So you've got to be careful, but it's not a bad strategy.
I think, you've hit the nail on the head there, Ollie. I think, you can go heavy with your defence with those sorts of players. Cancelo and Trent have been very, very attacking this year, so you can expect a lot of attacking returns from them, Jack. But, the Mbeumo pick, I'm a massive, massive fan of that. The enabler, he'd probably be your fifth midfielder or whatever, wouldn't he? So, I'm a massive fan of that pick. Are you liking Brentford's fixtures, really? Because, I haven't checked them recently, but I've seen a lot of red. They did have a lot of red. I don't know if they're sort of out of the woods with that yet, but he's a really, really good pick, and he tore Wolves apart a couple of weeks ago. So what was your sort of thought process behind that one?
Yeah, listen, like Mbeumo, as you said, he looks so lively in game week 7. I think obviously going into you got Chelsea in this game week 8, but then following that, I think they've only got 2 red fixtures in the next 12. I think it is. What is it? 9 through to 19. So next 11. So I think Brentford have actually got some good choices in there. If you look at your Pinnocks, even Raya's a goalkeeper. They proved that they can obviously do clean sheets in there as well. He was another one I kind of consider against Sanchez and Ramsdale. Pinnock is 4.6. It was him or White, but I needed the extra 0.2. And then Mbeumo in there, he looked really lively. It looks like he's settling into the Premier League. He could be there to level up against Tony. He's playing near enough as a striker. I reckon he'll get goals, create chances, and he's a big guy as well, isn't he? So I really like him. He's actually my 4th midfielder. Douglas Luiz is my 5th one, which Matt warned me off the other night because he's a bit wahoo. But I'll see how he goes as my 5th midfielder. And Mbeumo could be, if I have to bring Trent in, it might have to be my 3rd. So I'm keen for this one. Rory coming in. Anyone joining me on the Vardy party? To be fair, I actually looked at him as well, Rory. I know a few of the boys have got him. I think Reedy captained him as well last game week. And he's someone who I really liked, but he was going to be my plan to bring in the next couple of game weeks instead of Jesus. I don't know if I'm going to have the money to do that when Trent comes in, because he obviously sucks the life out of your budget. But he's looking good. He might run right against United as well with this defence we've got.
Yeah, my transfer this week. I'm going to commit
Jamie
to
Vardy.
My transfer this week. Yeah,
Like
no, I don't really want to move on from Jack's team too much because his wildcards are looking good, and obviously wildcards are a big deal. But nice segue into how I'm looking. Romelu Lukaku is going to head out of my team this week, which is surprising considering how long I've held Trent and how much patience I've had with Trent. To bin off Lukaku doesn't seem like the most wise decision, but I'm playing aggressive, playing on the front foot. It hasn't worked for me some occasions this season, but if I want to do what Jack's doing, load up at the back. I'm not basing my team off Jack's team, but look, Norwich next week might be the case of this plans can change. Plans can change. Maybe that's
straight after the pod. Change.
After our reaction.
The deadline's on Saturday.
Wait a minute. I'm not buying this. What did he do last year? What did he do last year when he did the transfer live on the pod? We want to see it now. Come on, do it.
Yeah. Do you want to see it?
Get that share screen on the go.
Get out. Bring your share screen up and I can put it up on the screen.
Goes now, right?
Oh, he can't log in. He can't log in. So that's
I'm in. I'm not using that.
That was short-lived.
It was remarkably short-lived, but I think I can do it, and I think I will do it,
boys.
Ollie Mourinho, the master of the mind games.
Hey, look again. It's the plans that I've got in my brain that it's going to sound stupid, but it's going to work for me.
Let us know in the comments what you're making of Ollie transferring out Lukaku.
You're all going to call me an idiot.
Let us know, please.
You're all going to call me an idiot, but just wait. Just wait.
I think risky is the word.
To be fair, I pondered it this week as well, which probably means it's a bad move, but
Ollie's not doing it now then, surely not Ollie.
Just wait. It's okay.
Okay, we're waiting. Well, in the meantime, I can go through my transfer because it will take me about 2 seconds. I'm rolling over, boys. We need a little transition for when I'm rolling over or something like that. I've got 1 free transfer. I'd like my 2 free transfers. I'm a massive fan of rolling over. No need to change anything at the minute. No Lukaku to Vardy outlandish shouts or anything. Happy with my team for this week. So, I'm just going to be staying put and going with that. But, Statman, if you're not going to be getting Vardy in this week, did you have any sort of other transfers in mind, or was it just going to be the one to Vardy?
No. So, basically, I think my plan at the moment is, I rolled over last week, so I've got 2 free transfers. I've got some injury concerns. I've got Varane, so obviously I need to probably move him on, I think, after he got injured playing for France. And then I've got Basuma, Bamford and Lukaku under injury clouds. So I think at the moment, I'm probably going to upgrade Varane to Cancelo. And I'll just need to raise another 0.2 to do that. So probably looking at downgrading Greenwood for like a Decore or a Townsend from Everton or a Rafinha, potentially depending on what Rafinha's status is this week. But obviously he's got good fixtures coming up. So I might do that regardless once I decide on which one. I was also looking at Sarr as well, but he's got a bit of a sea of red fixtures coming up. So definitely decided against that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And as Rory's just said there, everyone captain, big Rom now, hat-trick coming now that Ollie's taken him out. And, I can see the light on his face. I think he's definitely making the transfer as soon as his share screen is up. I can confirm that has happened. But we do have one question. I'll go to you for this one, Guru. It's from Quentin. He says, Lukaku versus KDB over the next 10 weeks. Who scores more? And what a question that is.
I've got to say KDB. I have to now, don't I? I now have to say KDB.
You don't get a choice.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm just had a look at the fixtures. Actually, I just had a look at the fixtures then, and I'm going to back Lukaku like this next sort of 5 games for him. If he's fit, I think if he's fit for this weekend, I think he'll score. He's got the likes of Burnley, he's got Norwich. KDB for me. I still think there'll be games in there where he doesn't play. Might pick up a knock as well. I trust Lukaku more over the next 10 than De Bruyne. So, Lukaku for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people would be agreeing with you there. And as you've just said in the comments, the sun's definitely got to Ollie's head. I think there, he's had a haircut and, he's taken off his brain with it as well. I think the barber has. So, you're going to need to get that back at some point, Ollie.
Do I have a right to reply? Do I have a right to
Let's make this
reply?
transfer happen. Come on, get this transfer on the go.
I'll get it out. What's this babbling on about?
Bring up your share screen and I can show it.
Screen up. Come on.
Bring up your all right then.
We're waiting on you. We're waiting on you.
Sorry, lads. Keep nattering on as usual, and I'll go back for you.
Right, we'll go. Sort of just logging in by the sounds of it.
Yeah, basically.
Well, we'll go to the human fence as he's been deemed for his transfers this week. Reedy, are you doing anything this week? Are you rolling over? What's happening?
The human fence, love it. Just hench, innit? You know what I mean? So, yeah, transfers. I'm actually considering making one transfer, which for the first time this season, I didn't think I'd be saying this. And it's that man, Bruno Fernandez. I know, look at Jack's face, but I just don't know. United, not the same team as what people thought they would be. The players they brought in, Bruno's not kind of been himself, albeit Portugal did have a good game. Was it last night or night before? I think they won 5-0. Bruno got a couple of assists. Ronaldo got a hat-trick. It could turn around and bite people this weekend if people take either out. So this is the one I'm considering, and I'm looking at a City asset. Guru and yourselves mentioned Foden, mentioned Torres. It's the pepper roulette. So if I do this, it's got to be right. It's got to be nailed on. KDB is the one. However, Bruno's come down by 0.1, and which brings him to 11.8, and KDB is 11.9. So that has shot me a little bit in regards to that one. The price rises, price falls thing. So I'm considering it. That is the one. I'm not going to take a -8 this time, like the other game week, which backfired. I mean, I got a high score, so it was pretty good in that sense. But Bruno Fernandez, what's your opinion, boys? Do I take him out? Do I keep him in? What do you think?
We'll go to you for that one, Jack. The resident Man United fan, and then we'll ask the Guru as well. So we can have the bias glasses off and the non-wildcard glasses off as well, because I know how much that's hurting your head at the minute, Jack. So we can never be too certain. But Bruno Fernandez, is he one to keep in people's teams or not really?
Listen, for those who've got him still in, it'd be. I think he's more. I don't know what his percentage is ownership on there, Reedy, but I'm sure he's obviously a lot lower than obviously what it was previous when Ronaldo arrived. But listen, Bruno can still do the business. I'm sure Ollie's had a couple of weeks to think about what he's going to do with this United team now, hopefully. And we can obviously go into this game week against Leicester and start firing. And the team has been built around Bruno, obviously, since he arrived. Obviously, now Ronaldo's arrived, integrating them both, and they've both got to be, they're both going to be on fire. They've obviously linked up really well for Portugal during the international break. I like Bruno. 26%. Cheers, Statman Dave. Supplying the goods there. So 26% ownership. I reckon that'll go obviously even lower as well with the return of KDB too. There might be more opportunity to be more of a differential. But for me, keep him, read it. I like him. Probably won't stick the armband on him just yet. But definitely, I think he'd be a good asset to still own.
Yeah, absolutely. Guru, what do you make of that one? As Jack just said, 26% ownership. If you told people that at the start of the season for game week 8 for Bruno Fernandez, then something terrible must have happened. But it's the situation that we're in. Do you sort of agree with what Jack said, or do you think it's time to move on from Bruno now?
I agree with Jack in the fact that Bruno, is still going to be there or thereabouts. He's going to be in the right positions for assists and potentially goals. But I think, Bruno, if you're still hanging on to him now, probably should have got a shot of him a couple of game weeks ago. I think you're unlucky that KDB, is that 0.1 more now, because it would have been a nice straight swap, and I think that would have been the ideal swap as well. So I think you're quite unlucky there, really. But I just think it's all going to be centric around Ronaldo right now. There might be a time where we need both when United have that good run from 15 onwards. But right now, if you're going to spend the money for a United player, it's going to be Ronaldo and not Bruno. So I'd get rid.
Yeah, absolutely. And we interrupt this broadcast to bring up Ollie's team with Jamie Vardy in it. Scroll up and down, Ollie, so that we can see it's not a fake screenshot that you've done. We need to see that this is 100% legit. Scroll up. You're on mute, mate. So you're going to need to unmute yourself, and then you can explain yourself.
Well, effectively, I'm not going to explain myself yet. to everyone. I'll explain myself in the chat to all the podcast lads, because I do have a plan, and there it is in the chat for the pair of you, or for all of you to have a look at. I'm pretty steadfast on my plans, and I know this is an outlandish one, but I think it might help me this week. So you can see the screens here. We've got the big man Ben Foster on the bench, as you can see. 2 red flags. One of them we know is in, and one player that's coming out is Romelu Lukaku. You can see there on the screen. Everyone's gonna hate me for this. I've been dubbed on Twitter as full on knowledge. What's my knowledge now?
But Vardy is injured.
Have you been tweeting yourself?
Budgie's right. Did you just put Vardy in?
Vardy's not injured. No, he's not.
I've just gone on I've just gone on to Google. 12th of October. Jamie Vardy and Johnny Evans could be fit to return for the Foxes. Vardy suffered a chest injury in the 2-2 draw with Palace.
He's fine.
Keep cool, breathe, Ollie, breathe.
I saw Budgie's comment in the chat, I guess, and then I thought, I've got to Google it.
We're fine.
Oh my God.
We're fine.
That news might have came a bit too late before he the clip.
Did no one think to tell him before he was talking about it? I think, that's... We'll just have to see how this one goes, for the next game week.
Look, even if he's out, even if Vardy is out, look at Nathan Burgess. Look at how he's a one-season wonder, 4th in the league. Telling me to do my research, mate. This is how I play FPL. I play aggressive. I play quick. Mate, I've never met you in my life. I'll speak to you in 2 minutes, pal. Just, I'll meet you for the first time in 2 minutes. We've got off on the wrong foot, pal. This is going to work out. This will work out. If he's not fit, if he's out injured, he's out injured. And yes, you've been palled. Speak to you in a couple of minutes, pal, in the next section. There's your rant. I hope you're happy.
This is going to be a very interesting this or that section ran by Ollie for Budgie as well. But to fill the time in those 2 minutes that Ollie said, we've got to go through our captain picks, lads. They're all our transfers. To find out who the Guru's transferred in, it's on the YouTube, on his team selection. You've got to go watch it. Might raise a few eyebrows. It's a surprising one. I was certainly surprised by it. So, yeah, you're just going to go and have to watch that and find out who he's gone with. But, I think it's going to be a fairly quick who we captain him, because I think there's going to be one man who is... I'd be surprised if he isn't captained by every single person who has him in their team this week. Jack, we'll start with you. Is there any question this week?
Do you know something? There actually is. I've got Salah to start with, right? But Son delivered so good for me, and Newcastle, they could run riot. They haven't got the big man Steve Bruce probably by the weekend. It's all going to fall apart even worse for them, if it can get any worse in terms of football. But yeah, I don't know. Son's on there, so I've got to double check that before I go for it. But Salah obviously is nailed on for everyone, I presume. But yeah, Son is just getting me thinking.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, mate. There's always those weeks where someone's so highly captained that that's the week where they blank, and God forbid that happens with Salah this week. If you've got Son, he gets a goal or an assist, you're going to take big green arrows. But for me, it's going to be Salah. Statman Dave, who's it going to be for you?
Oh, look, everything's coming up Salah. I think it's, he's had the weekend off. He didn't play for Egypt. And he's got Watford. What more else do you want? I'm sure he's going to play the whole game. And I'm sure that he's going to feature in a few goals and assists probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Ollie, is it going to be Jamie Vardy or Danny Welbeck for you this week as your captain?
Danny Welbeck. It's Romelu Lukaku this week, captaincy for me. No, I'm only joking. Of course. It's going to be Mohamed Salah. Of course it is.
Okay, so you do have one half of your brain still, so the barber didn't take all of it with the haircut. Reedy, is it going to be your man, Mohamed Salah?
It's got to be, hasn't it? It's got to be. Every fantasy manager is hoping that he runs riot. Imagine we all get stung again like that, whatever that game week where everyone captained him and he blanked and someone else blanked Bruno, something like that. It can happen, but I expect him to deliver for us this weekend, guys. So, yeah, if you don't captain Salah, yeah, more feel you, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And Guru, to find out who you've captained, I've said it, but the people want to hear it from you. Where have they got to go?
FPL _addicts on YouTube or Instagram, and you can check out my team selection. But yeah, I don't think there's too many surprises with my captain pick this week.
Yeah, and I'll just ask you, Ollie. I'll ask you this question. As the resident Championship fan, Watkins or Tony for the next 6 weeks, who would you go with?
Oh, both ex-Brentford strikers, both quality. Obviously, Ollie Watkins came on for 2 minutes this morning for England. I think Ivan Toney's looked brilliant, so I don't see why you'd go against him at the moment. Obviously, like we say, both are decent players. I'd have to have a look at fixtures to break that one down for you, but Brentford at the moment, not the easiest fixture this week against Liverpool, but after that, looks decent. Up to that Man United game in game week 17, I'd be holding for that long. So that's good news for Brentford and for Ivan Toney. Look at Villa. Their run's not great. So I'd be going Ivan Toney.
I think that's a very fair shout, and they are our captain picks, our transfers, subject to controversy, as always, with Ollie on the podcast. But, we'll just have to see next week if it does end up paying off. And here we go for the guest section this week. I'm not quite sure what that was. It sounded like an aeroplane of some sort. It's happening again. Budgie, have you got your audio or anything connected, mate?
I think his audio's having a bit of a crazy time there. Budgie, if you just want to look at your connection, possibly. It might be your headphones, actually. Take your headphones out, and sometimes the AirPods do that.
Yeah, Jack knows that all too well. You should hear it before we get on the podcast every single week. He's always sorting out his audio issues and everything. Doesn't seem to be fixing anything at the minute, unfortunately. We will
yeah. Give him time. He's still got to process the rant from me 2 minutes ago.
Stole the words out of my mouth, Jack. We will do the guru section from Matty Day as Budgie sorts that out. So Matt, you've got your teams to watch, your picks, your differentials, your captains. So take it away, mate.
Thanks, Elliot. Look, and we'll start off with the watch list. Our differentials below 10% owned, and the first one's going to be De Bruyne at home to Burnley with 2% ownership. Huge differential. I think he's a really good shout this week. Second one is going to be a Liverpool player, Curtis Jones, 5 million. He's got 15 points in 2 games, 0.3% ownership. I think he's a great shout. Against Watford as well, good fixture for him. I think he'll keep his place in the side. And then my next one, Jack will be pleased to hear this one. I'm going to go with Hwang from Wolves, 5.6 mil away to Villa. Obviously a bit of a Midlands derby there. I think it'll be quite an open game. He's 4.2% selected, and he's looked good recently with 13 points in his last game. And the last one that I'm going to pick is Mason Mount, 8.7%. I've never been a big fan of him in FPL. He doesn't, get too many goals, but he came on against Saints the other week. He actually changed the game. I was unlucky not to grab an assist or two in that time. So really liking him for 8.7% ownership.
Yeah, and Curtis Jones, what a big pick that is. He's been in the Liverpool side. He's been getting goals and assists. So I can definitely understand that one. Some brilliant players on your watch list there for this week. For anyone interested in their free hit or their wild card or even their transfers, you've heard it there from the Guru. They're the ones to look out for. Your captain picks for this week, Guru. I'm fairly certain Mohamed Salah is going to be top of this list.
Yeah, Salah's on there. I've said it on the team selection podcast on our YouTube. No questions need to be asked about Salah. De Bruyne is on there this week. I think it's a great fixture for him against Burnley. Can't see anything but a Man City win there. I'm going to pick Son as well against Newcastle. I think he's a good shout. And then my last one, I think, is a really good captain option this week, and it's going to be Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, and I think, there's some brilliant picks there. Very high ceilings for every single one of them this week for their captaincy returns. Who's your curveball captain for this week?
It's going to be Phil Foden, I think, this week. If he gets the start against Burnley, which I guess you never know with Pep, but, if he gets the 90 minutes, I think Foden's going to grab a goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're really liking your Foden pick for this week, and a lot of people are as well. So he's definitely on a lot of people's radars. But what's your big 3 FPL fixtures for this week, mate?
Watford v Liverpool. It's got to be on there, I think, because we're going to see pretty much every team in FPL with Salah as captain. So I think it's a really important game. you've got a lot of people with Trent as well to play. My next one's going to be Brentford v Chelsea. A lot of people have invested into Chelsea assets that may or may not play. You've got people on wildcards with people like Tony coming into their side as well. And then my last one for FPL is going to be Arsenal v Palace. There's a lot of people investing in Ramsdale and Ben White. So I think that's a really important game for a lot of FPL managers.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got your final 3 teams to back for the week, Guru. So who are they going to be?
I'd go Liverpool against Watford. I think Liverpool will early kickoff. I know everyone says never back the early kickoff, but I think Liverpool will win that one. So I'll back them. I'm going to back Man City against Burnley. And I think I'm going to back Brighton away to Norwich this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's some very good picks there. Brighton Norwich is definitely not the most exciting game on paper, but there's definitely a high ceiling for FPL points there. I just want to bring up a little comment that we've got there, Guru. Thinking about it, Ollie's Vardy transfer could be a masterstroke. Man United are in disarray with Maguire and Varane injured too. It's a good point that he makes. What do you sort of make of that?
You know what? I agree. And obviously we had a bit of a laugh and a joke about Ollie's transfer, but he could be onto something there. Vardy's got a great record against United. He's destroyed them before at the King Power. So, and Vardy as well loves bonus points. So no centre-backs fit for United, or sort of their top centre-backs. It could be a great move by Ollie and a shrewd move. So, fair play to him.
Yeah, and I think it would be rude not to bring up Ollie's share screen that he's got there. He's got never back the early kickoff. As he's just mentioned there, you should never, ever back the early kickoff. But that's another brilliant Guru section from you, Matt. So thank you very much for all the insight. And now we will try this again. We've got the guest section. We've got Budgie and he's unmuted his mic and there is no aeroplane now. So it is good, mate. Pleasure to have you on board. Welcome. You're flying at the minute in FPL. You're a very special guest that we've got today. Form similar to Mo Salah we've got on our notes here. You're absolutely flying in the paid league. You got the Game Week 6 Manager of the Week. So we're very pleased to have you on the podcast, Nathan. How are you going, mate?
Yeah, good lads. It's great to meet you all properly. Sorry about the noise. I don't know what that was. I didn't even hear it, so the reactions confused me. But yeah, good to meet you all. And yeah, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, pleasure to have you on as well today, mate. And we know that you've taken time out from your Freshers Week as well, so it's a pleasure to have you on. But you've joined the FPL Addicts Paid Mini. What sort of attracted you to join as a member and being a part of this FPL Addicts community?
Yeah, well, I played probably seriously last year for the first time, and I really got into it. And I just thought I wanted to find other people that were taking it more seriously, because I won my paid minis last year with my mates, and then they were all like, "Nah, not again." Basically, they all give up sort of after game week 3, 4, and it's just not as fun, is it? So I thought find a group of lads that all want to get involved and bit of community about it just makes it more fun, doesn't it? So
yeah, absolutely. That's half the fun, the community, having people that you're competing against and that sort of stuff. So if you're just beating your mates every single week, as nice as that is to have it over them, it definitely would probably get a little bit boring. But can you tell us a little bit about your journey so far, mate? Game week 1 to 7, how are you tracking this year compared to last year, you said?
Yeah, well, I've started really well, to be fair. I'm really happy with my start. I was always planning a nice aggressive early wild card. So even though I've set on my team for the first sort of 3 weeks, I was planning game week 4 the whole time for the wild card. So even though it had gone well and I was still had a decent rank, I felt that I wanted to change it up, and I'm happy with how it's gone, really. Couple of not as great weeks in there, but overall, look, can't complain with the start. Much better than last year. I think I finished around 22k last year, and my aim was top 10k all year. I just fell short, but I think at about this time last year, I think I was only at about 400k. So it's pretty easy to make the ranks up by the end, and I'm currently tracking at about 10k now, which is where I want to be at the end. So on course.
Oh, nice one, Budgie. It's the Guru here, and thanks for coming on and giving us and our listeners some, fantastic insights. And obviously, you're so active in our community. And I think you're in our Euros fantasy as well. So yeah, look, thanks for your support. How are you using this international break for prep? And what should FPL managers be doing during this time? As you know, we're all struggling to deal with no FPL at the moment. So yeah, what you've been doing in this international break, mate?
Yeah. Well, international breaks, they are a bit rubbish, aren't they? You do miss the Premier League and FPL and all about it, but yeah, I try and disconnect as much as I can for at least the first week of the international break. I don't think it's any good getting wrapped up in stories about injuries and flags and stuff, because you get so many of them and half of them are just nonsense international injuries. So I try not focus on it too much. Don't look at it towards the end. I've got moves that were already planned from before the international break. Probably have to relook at them. There are a lot of flags, but I think until the press conference this Friday, I'm not going to be making any moves. Not panicking getting Lukaku out. Don't think it needs to be done. I think just wait, see what happens, get all the information in. But yeah, I mean, I've just started uni, so over the international break, I've been on the lash every night.
I love that, mate. Love that. And look, you've already used your wild card, so. And I think this question's been definitely been prepared by Jack, because he's obviously using his wild card. He wants as many tips as possible. So you've used yours. For those who haven't, and what would your advice be to managers about unleashing it? And what players, teams, and strategies would you be looking for if you were playing your wild card this week?
Yeah, so like I said, I was planning the early wild card from the start. I sort of set up thinking game week 4, I wanted to take advantage of the wild card. I like to use it early and get it out of my mind, and I can just focus on my team, because otherwise every single week I'm always thinking, should I wild card this week? What can I do? And it takes too much away from focusing on what I could do with the transfers if I'm always got the wild card in the back of my mind. But if I hadn't wild carded, I think game week 8 was another week that I was looking at with potential swings and stuff. I think if you're not already on the Chelsea boys, then this week would be one to play it. I like it then, but barring that, I'd say maybe hold it till later, closer towards when we get the second ship. Game week 15 with the Man United fixture swing, and Man City have good fixtures then. I think that's another good time to play it. If I hadn't done it, I'd probably be waiting till then now.
I think that's a really good point. Really good point that you make, Budgie. You've got to wait, and you don't want to just be thinking about it every single week, do you? You've got to just get on with your FPL and not make your transfers. I am the king of rolling over, as I've been deemed by these lots. So you've got to make sure that your head's screwed on and you've just got a clear path that you're going to be following. But as you've done that and you've already played your wild card, do you have a couple of differentials, maybe for game week 8 that you've got in your mind?
Yeah, I had a few transfers that I'm thinking about for the next few weeks. Brian and Buemo, who you mentioned before, I really like the look of. Differential, I think he's only about 1.6% owned now, like 5.5 million. Playing out of position for up top for Brentford. Got Chelsea this week, so maybe not this week, but from next week, I think he's a great option. And I just bought in this week Conor Gallagher for Crystal Palace. Well, I accidentally brought in Eze first and had to take a hit to get him out. So I had a very, very keen eye on that Palace-Leicester game last week. And I watched that, and he was very, very heavily involved all the time. But if you want a super differential, something I did note from that game, Michael Elise, who came on, 0.0% owned. Very, very differential. He only played about 37 minutes, but he was so involved in the game, and I think he's going to get a lot of minutes going forward. I really, really like the look of him. Yeah, he scored the goal. I think he had 3 shots in the box, a couple of chances created as well. He's an exciting player. I watched him a lot in the Championship last season as well for Reading, and he's a talented player. He'll make his way into that team. So
yeah, you can just see in the chat,
Ollie wants to say something.
Sounds like an Ollie signing. I love this lad. So Ollie says a footballer. He's class.
He's class.
Absolutely class. I love that shout so much. He's brilliant, and obviously got the goal. So you're obviously on something. So that's why you're at the top of the league, and I'm not. So fair play, mate. But yeah, I do rate that signing a lot. And I think he might help your team, even if you're having some issues with the Palace midfielders taking hits and all that.
It's definitely, it happens to everyone, Budgie.
Not my finest moment.
Everyone's transferred in the wrong player and, had to take a hit. You should have seen Jack last season. He took a 20 or something point hit in game week 2 because he wasn't happy with his team. So, the grass is always greener for you. But just a final question before we move into a little game of this or that. Do you have any tips or advice for our listeners in our community heading into game week 8?
I'd probably say, especially for this week, don't worry too much about all of these injuries and the flags and stuff until those press conferences come, because it's so easy to panic and get out. You look at my team now. I think I've got 3 or 4 flags, but I'm assuming that most of them are going to be fine. The one that I'm probably most worried about is Rafinha, and he doesn't even have a flag at the moment, and we don't know when he's going to come back. So I'd wait until the last possible minute to do your transfers. That would be my advice. Sorry, Ollie.
That's some really, really good advice that you've gone there. But obviously peer pressured Ollie into making the transfer live. But Ollie, it's your little section now, your little game of this or that. So do you want to give Budgie and the listeners just a little explanation of how it works, and then we'll get right into it whenever you're ready, mate?
Yeah, we shall do a little bit of a rundown. We've called it this or that. Effective, I'm going to give you 2 options, mate. Usually 2 players, but they can also be, 2 from other categories also. And you just got to pick one. And you've got about 7 or 8 that we're going to run through. Got 30 seconds. You can see the timer up on the screen. So as as soon as we get that away, and we'll be off and running. So,
all right. Well,
here
your
we
time
go. Let's
starts now.
Romelu Lukaku or Ronaldo?
Lukaku.
Sanchez or Ramsdale?
Ramsdale.
Saar or Benrahma?
Saar.
Rudiger or the fake Diaz? Ruben.
Rudiger.
White or Duffy?
White.
Trent or Cancelo?
Trent.
Bamford or Antonio?
Antonio.
Tony or Hwang Hee-chan?
Tony.
Steve Bruce or Graham Potter?
Graham Potter.
I was waiting for that one, Budgie. I was waiting for that one.
Top man.
Very well done, and it's a pleasure to have you on for the podcast today, Nathan. Best of luck for the rest of the season, mate. You're flying high, so keep doing what you're doing, because whatever you're doing is obviously working. But thank you so much for being on today, and best of luck for the rest of the season, mate. So that does bring us to a close of another fantastic FPL Addicts podcast. It was a funny one tonight. It was a big laugh. I've definitely enjoyed it. I enjoy this weekly grilling of Ollie and his FPL decisions just as much as anything else at the moment. So it's absolutely brilliant. Just a reminder there, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe down below and turn the notification bell on as well. And let us know what you make of our outlandish opinions and Ollie's transfer from Romelu Lukaku to Jamie Vardy quite so early this week. But obviously, may all your FPL dreams come true for game week 8. Keep your eye on the YouTube, the watch along this weekend. The Guru's going to be putting out content on the YouTube as well, FPL_Addicts. So make sure you're all up to date with that and the socials as well. But until then, as I said, may all your FPL dreams come true in game week 8. Take care, stay safe. Bye for now.